And we're live. Welcome to the Indie Show, everybody. I'm your host, Joey Vitale. I'm a lawyer for creatives. At Indie Law, we kind of understand that the legal side of your business is important, but it's just one of the many sides of being a business owner. So every Thursday morning, we try and bring on an excellent guest to talk about some other perspective of being a business owner. And today, I'm so excited. Misty Henry is on with us today. We've been chatting for the past, I guess, couple of months now, Misty. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to let her introduce herself real quick. But before I do, I just wanted to give you guys some inside scoop on how Misty and I connected. And maybe it was like January or February, Misty.
I think so.
I had started my group, the Friends of Indie Law, in I think like December or January. And after we got a couple of members in, somehow it caught Misty's attention, and she was like, hey, I would love to kind of work with you. I think that we have similar things going on. And just right away I could tell that Misty was like coming from a place of like compassion and like really had a heart for the businesses that were in her own group, which is huge. And I'll let her talk about that for a while. But Misty we were just talking before we pushed play on going live. She's got her hands full right now. She's got at least 2 groups that she's kind of in charge of like running and maintaining. She's got her own consulting business. She's got kids. She's got a dog. She's got a husband, which I understand is in and of itself a lot of work. So Misty, going from there, like how would you describe yourself to somebody who's kind of in the creative space?
Oh, man. How do I describe myself? Like wow. Says, busy, overwhelmed.
Yeah. If someone says, like, what do you do? What's, like, your easy kind of business cardy response to that?
When I meet people and they ask that question, what do you do? I am a product safety specialist for work-at-home parents, work-at-home, anyone who is making things like on a little sewing machine by themselves, and they're actually the artisans are handcrafting things. And a lot of people, when I say, first they're thrown off by product safety. They have no idea. Then they're thrown off by what? Work at home, like transcription or teaching people online. And I have to remind them that there are people out there that make things like your blankets, your clothes, your cloth diapers, tumblers that you drink from. They actually make those things in their houses, in their kitchens even. Even even government commissioners were surprised that these people, you guys, all of you people listening right now are those people that are geniuses making these things in your homes. They were surprised, and it's great that I can share with them, the community that I love so much.
So I think that what you do is awesome. And as soon as we connected, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like so important that there's somebody that has like a Facebook identity that is doing that. But like, how did you get here? Like, did you kind of know 10 years ago that like, I want to be a product safety compliance specialist?
Oh God, no. So, let's rewind all the way back to my 6th grade year.
Wow.
We're not going to say what year that was,
okay,
but we're going to rewind all the way back there. So, we're going to get real a little bit.
Awesome.
I'm from a military family, so we moved around every 2 to 4 years, and I struggled a lot with these moves. I love traveling. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing new places and learning new cultures and really just getting to know people. But
and
I'm also
started in 6th grade, or that had started?
No, that started before, but okay. In 6th grade is when everything really pivoted for me. Because of the struggles I have with meeting new people. I'm extremely introverted, mm-hmm. and it really took a toll on how I did socially in school. My mother, noticed these changes and started to get concerned. Yeah. So I went to see a psychologist. Unfortunately, this is an adult psychologist, so they weren't really well equipped to handle my manipulation. And from there, I was like, gosh, I dislike this person so much. She's terrible. She does not know a thing. I'm able to manipulate her, and she thinks I'm getting better, but really I'm not. I want to be that person that can help people like me. I want to be that person. So I wanted to be a child and adolescent psychologist. Fast forward to the last semester of my undergrad career.
Okay.
I decided psychology was not for me. Not the counseling part of psychology is not for me. I don't feel confident in actually making a difference in people's lives this way. So I stepped back after graduate. I did get the undergrad degree. I was not throwing that away. And I started just to focus on the retail job that I had. I still hate retail, but I really enjoyed that I utilized my love to help people. And I was able to make women feel good about not just their purchase, but about their bodies, about themselves, about the event that they were going to, or, you know, the reason they were looking for these clothes. And really, I think it grew from there. It continued to grow. I started my family, went through some struggles, but I've always had that place of, I need to help. I want to make a difference. I want to change the world. We all want to feel that way, right? So from there, it really just exploded into, I have a son. I'm now into this cloth diaper sphere because, you know, you have a child and you go on all these mommy blogs and you're searching for all this information. And I jumped headfirst into this cloth diaper world. And more specifically, the artisan world who were making these cloth diapers. I didn't want to go mainstream. I didn't know where to even get them mainstream.
So it all started because you were looking for stuff for your kid.
Right, okay. Right. So then, you know, it's funny. I was like, I can do that. I can make these. So I started making cloth diapers. I had no idea about any regulations. I had no idea about anything. I just knew, hey, I could sew a straight line. I can make a cloth diaper. Yay. And then
you were making them for yourself?
I was making them for myself.
Okay.
And then I had a couple of friends who were like, hey, those are really cool. You know, I'm struggling. And I would make them for free for people that were struggling, you know.
Yep.
And then it turned into, darn, we need tags for these. And I was like, oh, I can do that. I have time to buy tags and sell them to you. I only have one kid. I wanted to be professional about it, though.
Yep.
So I went searching for this template. So I'm like, surely there's something professional. And I found the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, and went, what? I didn't know this was actually a requirement.
Yeah.
And then from there, I was like, I'm going to do more research. I love education. It's a huge passion of mine, education. So I researched and I found that instead of psychology, I actually had a love of reading legal stuff.
It's very unique.
It is very unique. And I found the CPSC, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, through all that research and went, oh my gosh, none of us really know about this. So from there, that's where this all started. Was I was researching and fell into it and then fell in love with it. So that's the whole story behind the safety compliance.
That's so awesome. And about like, how many years ago was it that you were just making the cloth diapers?
So my oldest son is 7. So It's been about 6.5 years.
So in that time, you went from kind of having a natural skill and gift for it, but not being familiar with it at all, to being, in a lot of ways, like the leading expert on Facebook.
Yeah.
In this space, which is very cool. And I want to highlight that because I hope that a lot of your group is watching this. And I know that you do a great job of responding to questions and conversations in your own group. But if you guys are watching and maybe you haven't had the chance yet to voice a concern or question that you have with Misty, go ahead and let us know in the comments and we'll try and address it if we can. So Misty, let's talk a little bit about, because I can handle like the law on the creative side in general in certain industries, but this compliance stuff is completely out of my realm of expertise. So when people are first getting into it, you kind of rattled off some abbreviated letters. Like, what are those governmental bodies or like non-governmental bodies that have rules around these compliance issues?
Absolutely. So, and it's alphabet soup over here. I go from one alphabet soup to another alphabet soup. So, FTC, Federal Trade Commission, they're the people that are going to make sure that all your advertising is non-deceptive. Your business practices are non-monopolizing. You're not breaking any consumer privacy, trust things.
Okay, and that's the FTC.
You're not. That's the FTC, Federal Trade Commission.
So the FTC, just for people who are watching who might not literally fit into the like childhood maker space, like do all makers need to kind of be aware of these guidelines here?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
So I do focus mostly on children's items only because that is, that's the bulk of what makers that I run with make, so that's the focus that I've taken. But yeah, these government agencies regulate the shelving behind you, the coffee maker behind you, the wood paneling behind me, they regulate everything.
Which means that because a lot of people think that if I am working from home, I don't really have rules applied to me, and that's not true.
That's not true. So yeah, we hear a lot of, just recently I received an email regarding the California Proposition 65. You ever go to the store and you see this little warning label that says this may cause cancer, on the product? Those of you who use cutting mats, you'll see that on your cutting mat, this product may cause cancer or something. And it seems silly, right?
Yep.
So initially, we were under the impression that everybody has to follow that. Well, I just received an email with updated information because they keep adding things to that proposition, adding new chemicals and such. And at the very bottom, it says, if your company has 10 or less employees, you're actually exempted. So we see that a lot. So, like the labor laws, for FMLA, a lot of people are familiar with that. If they work with an outside job in a corporation, you'll hear a lot about FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act. If your company is under a certain amount of employees, they don't have to follow that. And we keep seeing that in all of these different regulations. But safety compliance and labeling compliance is not something that has those kinds of exemptions. So yeah, it's everybody.
So yeah, let's talk about, I guess one of the first questions. So here's what I'd like for this to start to turn into is for you to have, and your groups to have this video so that if people ask questions and maybe they're like, hey, I'm just starting, and I know that you have resources for people who are just starting, but if you can direct them to this video, and now it says that we've been going live for almost 13 minutes and 40 seconds. So you can say, hey, if you guys are new, here's a link to this video if you'd rather watch it in video form.
Absolutely.
Scrub to, minute 1340, 1350 and hit play. Like, what are some of those big things that people should take in terms of first steps?
First steps. So first, absolute number one, breathe. It's okay. You're not, the big old government agencies are not going to come down and put a band hammer on you. You're totally cool. Trust me. They understand that their education is severely lacking. Oh, wow. So that's number one. They know what we do. They know we're trying. So breathe. That's great. Big step number one. The next step is just look at your product honestly. Look at it from the consumer perspective. If you can literally set it in front of you and go, I cannot think of a single thing that could cause harm to someone physically or chemically, then you're probably going to be okay and the process is going to be easy so you can even breathe easier.
Yeah.
Now, if you're looking at something like maybe a baby carrier or something that comes in contact with food, you might be thinking, well, my craftsmanship might not be top notch, even though I feel like I am the best craftsman on this particular item. There's always a potential that something could fail. And if that fails, then the person using it could get hurt. Or this is going to come in contact with food. So if any of these chemicals from the items I'm using leaches into that food, that could cause harm too. You're going to want to take that step back, stop your production, stop your selling especially, and reassess your process and come to terms with where specifically do I need to act right now to fix my process. And it's an easy process.
Okay. And that those types of concerns that you're saying that you can kind of start brainstorming at that stage, are those things that you just kind of disclaim in a label?
No, unfortunately, while you can put some disclaimers on things, it really does not protect you. One of my mentors, actually, she put it perfectly, and I think she got it from someone else, but literally a disclaimer is another piece of paper that you're waving in court to hope that the judge says, yes, okay, you tried, but really they're not going to say that. They're going to go, okay, what else did you do?
Love it.
So it's another paper. It really is.
Yeah. Because I've heard people, some of whom I've sent to you, that said, I'm working on something. I've seen this wording on labels. Is that necessary for this product that I'm putting together? And I'm like, I don't know. But it sounds like those might be like, if everybody's doing it, it might be a good kind of best practice to include those
right.
in what you're doing.
And that is exactly like in the group that I run. It's public, it's free. You're welcome. Everyone is welcome to join it. Consumers, artisans, everyone, they're welcome to join it. The thing that I push is it's called U.S. Safety Compliance.
Love it. Straight to the point.
And if you're Canadian, there's a Canadian compliance group too. So we got you covered.
I love it.
So what we do is we push not only the requirements, but we also push the recommendations, the best practices, because we want you to minimize the risk, not just to your consumers, but to yourself and your business as well. So we're going to push, we're going to say these are the required steps, but these are also we strongly recommend doing these as well to help you continue your sustainability.
I love that. And I mean, it's very similar on the legal side when it comes to contracts. Like a lot of those terms and stuff are not as bulletproof as people think, but it allows business owners to understand, where are risks in your business, what are expectations that you can kind of lay out for yourself and internal processes to think about. So I think that's a really important way to think about it. And Joanne just kind of reinforced what you were saying. I think that she just shared this as well. So thanks, Joanne, for the share and for the comment. And again, if you guys do have any other questions about Misty, feel free to ask them in the comments.
I'm happy to answer.
So I know I kind of interrupted your train of thought there, but you think about those types of concerns after you have taken a breath, and then what do you do with those concerns?
Jump right in. Literally. I mean, I know it's scary, and it's scary to think that you know about all this stuff now, and it's scary to think that you're going to take a misstep. But keep in mind that you can't make your product any more harmful. The goal is that we're making it less harmful. So by following this process, you should be getting a more safe product. Now, I do want to make this statement very clear.
Yep.
Safety compliance does not equate a safe product.
Ooh. Okay, what do you mean there?
So let's take the fidget spinners for example, because it's very popular right now. They marketed to 13 and up year olds because children's toys, children's item being 12 years old and under, have extra regulations. So 13 years old and up, no real regulations. Specifically, for things like lead or quality of the product.
Okay.
And what we've seen is that the pieces can pop off and they can be swallowed. So we've got a small parts issue, but small parts is only for 3 and under. So what do we do? Well, we followed the regulations. Isn't it a safe product? Well, not necessarily. You can follow every single regulation there is, and something can still happen. Now, that's not to scare you. Please don't let that scare you. It's just to say that if someone's not compliant with safety regulations, it doesn't necessitate the fact that they're unsafe, because they might be a safe product. Clothing, for example, T-shirts with the HTV on it. It has regulations, but if you don't follow those regulations, it doesn't mean that the shirt is not a safe product. It's still a shirt.
Yeah.
So
that's really interesting.
You know, now that's not to say don't follow the rules, because if something does happen, you are on the hook for that. But I mean, think about it realistically. Think about it logically. Don't jump to, oh my God, this person can choke on the armhole if they put their head through the armhole instead of the neck hole. That's a little drastic there.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this, which is that, like, something that I hear from people in your space a lot is that I'm concerned about safety, not just because I don't want to get in trouble, but because I think that my target market cares about safety.
Yes.
And that is like a buying point, almost like when you buy a car, the more airbags that are in it are like an added feature. In your experience, knowing this, is touting the safety of your product, especially if it's like a children's product, is that, in your experience, something that helps differentiate you or can help with sales?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what we're seeing right now is the consumers are becoming more aware that the products that they're buying should be safe. They don't want to buy a product that they know is going to break in 3 days. We were talking about that with Kate last week. You don't want to buy a $1 product because you know it's going to break in 3 days. You want to buy that $10 product that you know is going to last 3 months, So it's kind of the same thing. Consumers are seeing these tags that say meets CPSC safety requirements, and they're going, okay, I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds like it means something serious. So they're looking into what it means. And if you have a special FAQ page, put in there what it means to them. And I've got some resources on my public forum that give some ideas of how you can word that and make it easy for consumers to understand. And really it comes down to this. Meeting CPSC safety requirements means I'm paying extra attention to my product to make sure it's safe and you can have a fun and healthy experience with this product and your family with the peace of mind that it's not going to harm your child under proper use. My little disclaimer, under proper use.
I love it. I mean, because I think that's really great, because I think it's similar to how the food industry is having to now kind of explain what it means when they say this item's organic, and how that's a benefit. And so you it's not just like this is a certified X thing, but it's like here's what it means to have that recognition.
And organic, let me tell you, even in the fabric industry, it's difficult to decipher. We see organic bamboo cotton and we think, it's got to be, it's safe, it's made ethically. And I'm going to tell you right now, just because it's organic, it does not mean it's made ethically. If you see there's a specific organization that actually requires a manufacturer to list out their process And then they say, okay, yes, you have an organic product that is made ethically. And that's a specific certification that you can get on that product or on that fabric. So we have to be careful with these buzzwords.
Yep.
Just because it says organic, or one of the biggest examples that I give in my group right now is the gluten-free thing. A watermelon saying gluten-free means absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
Why do watermelons have that sticker on them?
Yes.
You have to take those yes, we pay attention to those buzzwords. That's why they're called buzzwords. We pay attention to them more, but we have to learn how to think through them.
Yeah.
And understand what they actually mean. And that's what we're trying to help the consumers with. They see that buzzword, meets CPSC safety requirements. Yes. Awesome. What's that mean? What's that mean to me? What's that mean to my child that I'm buying something for? What's that mean to my skin if I'm buying soap? FDA approved is different than FDA accepted or FDA certified, So the FDA does not certify things like fabric at all.
Really?
So, yeah, because they understand. So for snack bags, for example, you'll see on a lot of packaging, they'll have this claim of FDA approved or FDA certified. It's incorrect. It really is. Because the FDA has already said, now let me rewind a bit. FDA is a federal Food and Drug Administration. Mm-hmm. So anything that deals with food, you're probably going to be under FDA. Snack bags is kind of that middle ground between Consumer Product Safety Commission and Food and Drug Administration. And the reason why they don't approve or certify things like snack bags is because they've got little creases. When you sew something up, you have a little crease right there. And food particles get stuck. And you can wash it. You can throw it in the washing machine, sure. But they cannot guarantee that food particles aren't going to stay stuck in there and grow bacteria. So that's why they're hands off. We are not going to approve, nor will they disapprove.
Oh, interesting.
Something like that.
Okay.
So you have to pay attention to how things are worded as well. You can't just go, oh, it's FDA approved. It's not.
Interesting.
Same thing with CPSC. CPSC certified. It's not. That's not even a thing. CPSC does not certify a single item.
Oh, wow.
It's on the manufacturer to certify it.
I'm loving this. So if you guys are watching and you are kind of in Misty's space where you're a handmade artisan or you're making something where having those compliance requirements in place is important to you, let us know what it is that you're doing in the comments. I'm super interested.
Absolutely.
Because I think Misty has already made me realize that this is broader than I thought when I started the video. Because when you started bringing in soaps and like things like that, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that as, a type of product, because that's so different than the the toy and the handmade like gift space. And so like, if you could pull your group, what do you think like the majority of types of goods that are sold in there?
For my group, it's going to be overwhelmingly children's clothing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I do have, I would say right under that would be, I would say a toss-up between toys and bedding, like blankets and pillows. And then under that, it's going to be kind of everything else, the backpacks, purses. I've got some soap people in there. I think I actually had someone that was into makeup in there at one point.
Cool.
So, I mean, I think that's everywhere.
Great. And I think it's kind of similar to, if anybody who's watching is familiar with the Rising Tide Society. Like, there are a lot of photographers in that group.
Yes.
But there are also a lot of creatives who aren't photographers.
They're hiding.
So I think it's great that you have created a space where, yes, there is a large group of people who, because of like what your specialty is and because of what the group does, there's a lot of them, but that it also is very broad to a wide range of people. So we're about at the half-hour mark now. I wanted to switch gears from your expertise to to kind of how things are going with you as a business owner. But before I do that, just so we can have this soundbite, if we could recap again what some of those like low-hanging fruit steps for people who are just getting started.
Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah,
I want to read hers.
Yeah, please do.
Misty's group helped me decide what direction my company was going to go. I've sewn since I was a little girl and can make so much. I learned that just because I know how to make it doesn't mean I can or should sell it. And Joey, Stella says your sound's very low again.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It might be because I got away from the mic again. Guys, I'm trying on making this better. I just increased the volume again. Let me know what you think. But Stella, I do appreciate you letting me know.
Yeah. And thank you for that comment, Joanne, and Sunita. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, and I don't want to discourage people from selling at all.
Yeah.
But having that knowledge of, well, I can make this, I'll go ahead and sell it, because that's where we all start, right? Yep. We start with, oh, I can make this for my own family, and then our friends or even our family are like, oh my gosh, you could totally sell that. Just slap it on Etsy or, Hyena Cart. And I'm just like, let's step back 2 seconds, please, real quick. Because the biggest struggle that I see in a group is, one, there's overwhelm. But the biggest struggle is it's not a hoard. It's our treasure trove of fabric and other components that we have to now go back and try to figure out, can I still use it for the application that I wanted to use it for? For me, I understand that struggle. You do not want to see my closet. I don't even make anything anymore because I just don't have the time. I don't want to look at my closet. It's overwhelming. I get it. So yeah, just because you can make it does not mean you should go ahead and start putting it out there. Not just selling it, but, donating it to hospitals and giveaways and charities and such. You do want to make sure you have a safe product. Going back to, not necessarily something that's complying with safety compliance, but you want to make sure it is actually safe and you want to take a realistic look at it.
I think I've loved the conversation so far. So if you're new, you first breathe, then you take a close look at what you're selling. You kind of be realistic about what some safety concerns might be there, and then you can look into, what restrictions and regulations might apply there, and what some compliance requirements might require you to kind of say or do with that, but then think even beyond that to how can I make this safe, both as a business owner who wants to do good, but also to use that as, almost like an unfair advantage of, what sets my clothing diaper apart from the rest, and how can it be even more safe than the others that are out there.
And I think my favorite part is looking at prototypes. I love seeing the genius that everyone comes up with, and because everyone is trying to think outside of that box. They're going, oh, I love dresses, but they don't have any pockets. So now they're putting pockets on it, and yay, we have dresses with pockets now. And people are going, I love this toy, but it doesn't have this. So now they're adding things. I absolutely love seeing those prototypes and getting my brain to work around how the regulations can help this be a safe product, maintain that safety for whoever's using it.
Yeah.
And I love doing that.
Well, it's very obvious that you're passionate about it, and you have a very supportive audience behind you. So I think that
I love my people.
You're definitely in a good place. You're like, as Kate Brockmeyer would say, you're living in the light here. So,
yes.
So let's talk about kind of where you're at now, and because in addition to the group that you run and a lot of the stuff that you do, it's also a business for you.
Yes.
And how long has this been in terms of helping other people as a compliance specialist? How long has this been like a revenue generating thing for you?
So I've volunteered my time for over 5.5 years now. My consulting business is just officially started.
Love it.
January of this year. So the revenue generating part has not actually been going on very long.
Okay.
I did have a few clients. I tested the waters the end of last year, and I love doing it. I really do. I love being able to work one-on-one with people. It's probably my favorite thing.
That's great.
So yeah, I mean, for reals as a business, January this year was definitely that major step.
That's so awesome. And it sounds like you've had some little victories since January.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And honestly, I have to thank you and Kate, like hardcore, because, without you guys, I don't think I would be here as strong as I feel on this business adventure. I mean, I've learned a lot from watching other similar people who have the same passions, and, listening to Kate's many opinions about how, businesses should go. And you know what? I'm going to say it. She's got great opinions on it.
She does. She totally does. I've said this before. I said it to her after I was working with Kate for about a month. And I said, you're usually making me... How did I word it? I said, Kate, you're always telling me that I'm doing something wrong. And you're usually right. In fact, so far you've been right every time. It's just taken me a little while to realize it. And so, no, Kate, I'm excited to do these weekly podcasts with her on Mondays.
I love it.
You'll join us for one. But she's developed her gut in this industry is so good now, and she really knows how to cut through a lot of the noise that is out there when people decide that they want to start a creative business. Absolutely.
I want to thank Judy for her comment.
Yeah.
I absolutely love both of the groups, and I can't take much credit for the Canada group because Shayla Husick has overwhelmingly been just a genius on the research and helping keep that group going. Because she's in Canada, so all these items do pertain specifically to her. So she's been excellent on getting that information in the Canadian group. But yeah, a lot of the regulations for US and Canada are very similar. So it's not terribly difficult to transfer from one to the other. And I love, Judy actually runs a tag business, and we work together.
That's
she
awesome.
creates tags for your products, and we've worked together to make sure that the things
Judy,
that
you and I need to talk. You and I need to talk about trademarks.
Yeah.
I think we can collaborate here. But
so
go ahead. I didn't want to lose that.
Yeah, she's amazing. She is based in Canada, so she knows the Canadian requirements, but she's been working with me, and I've been working with her to make sure that she also has the U.S. requirements.
Great.
And she knows her French, so those of you who need those dual language tags, she's got that for you.
Oh, smart.
And then Claire, let's talk, because
can you read
those
Claire's
aren't going to
comment?
be. So Claire, she's, wow, my daughter's Girl Scout troop makes incubator covers, blankets to block light that don't go on the baby. I think that's really awesome, seriously. I love everything about that kind of charity work and volunteering. But it has never occurred to me that to the leaders or to the hospital that they should be compliant. Time to self-educate. So yes, let's connect, either in the group or message or however you want to connect, because that honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be an easy product. Because there's, like you said, it's not touching the baby. We're going to treat them like blankets. So let's connect, and we'll get that peace of mind for you, because there should be no reason why the Girl Scouts stop that project.
That's awesome. Claire, thanks for the comment. I'm glad you guys could connect, because that's a really, really cool idea. And I know Misty will take care of you. So before we wrap up, I know we're getting pretty close, and we talked about, your business in January, things are going good. Mm-hmm. What are some business lessons that you've learned, and feel free to brag on Kate here if you'd like, or other business owners that you've connected, but what are some truths that you've learned in the last, 7 or so months that that you'd like to share with other creatives that are just kind of universal things that maybe you learned the hard way as a business owner?
I'll say Kate's probably not going to like me for this answer, but be true to yourself. You know, I mean, and I'm not going to say she's probably not going to like it, but, you know, it's a half thing here. You know, you got to be true to yourself so that you can really push what you're selling or what your service is. Because if you don't trust in yourself, you can't trust, no one else is going to trust you either.
Yep.
But on the flip side of that, for me, which is why Kate probably doesn't like it so much, is I can't step away from my group. I can't step away from, you know, not providing a way for them to connect with me on a one-on-one level just because my prices increase. Because they need to. My time does get very restrictive. And I hate that. I wish I could add on another 24 hours in a day, but, you know, we all have families and it's a struggle to, I hate using this term. It's a struggle to have that balance.
Yep.
I don't like that term.
I hear you though.
And so, you know, be true to yourself and allow those people to connect with you, even if they're not your, you know, even if they're not your target market, even if they're not necessarily paying you, you know, don't shove them off. If your heart is with them, go for it. They might turn into your target market. It's okay. That was my biggest thing after just following other business owners, even the people listening right now and following you all. I've learned that if I'm not true to myself, my business, my family, everything will suffer. So that is my biggest.
I love that. And I think that when you are on this new podcast with me and Kate, Kate and I think, will love to kind of explore what that means for you. And I can imagine Kate watching this and getting really excited. Because I think there's a lot to unpack there. And one thing that I've learned to really love about Kate is that if you bring something that you are passionate about to the table, and this is, you know, with hopefully a lot of people that you go to as like business mentors, you're able to understand that binary that you thought existed when you had the problem isn't there, and that you can still have kind of what you want out of your kind of stubbornness with that problem and be successful on the business side.
Absolutely.
So we got to wrap up kind of soon, but before we do, I wanted to talk a little bit about Instagram with you.
Oh,
just because this has kind of been a trend in some of the more recent videos that we've done. I know that you're working on your Instagram game, and I also know that you are very good at researching. So if people could kind of step on your shoulders for a second, what things have you learned just in terms of the research that you've done about like best practices on Instagram that you've started to change? Because I know one of the things that you and I talked about is like how many hashtags, what hashtags to use, should they be there? Like what things, and I know that you're just starting, but in terms of the information that you found and the research that you've done, what takeaways have you gotten from that so far?
Not a whole lot.
Okay. Well, it's a struggle. Honestly good to know because if people are worried about it, hopefully this saves you some hours of research.
Yeah, it's trial and error, honestly, for me. You know, so, okay, shameless self-plug here. I joined as a Beachbody Coach. And
you joined Instagram as a Beachbody Coach?
No, I've been on Instagram as just personal sharing selfies of my children.
You're now
so now I'm a Beachbody Coach, and I had to pick up that presence so that I could push, you know, this is how I'm doing. This is, you know, what I'm doing. This is why I feel so much better. And they really focus on those visual social media things. And so you get a lot of tips from the other coaches, you know, do this, do that, do this, try this, you know, and I'm really getting most of my information from them. But even there, it's very contradictive. So one thing that I actually learned on my own taking the information that they gave me. They say use all 30 tags, all 30 hashtags that you possibly can. Then they also say to use tags that not a million people are using. You want to stay like in that 5,000 to 10,000 range because you want people to still find you.
5 to 10,000. Okay. I wasn't sure what the range was, but I heard there was some range.
Yeah. And then you want to throw in, you don't want to just describe your product. You want to throw in some other things like taco life, hashtag taco life. I love tacos and sushi, ducks and gnomes and dice games, like Dungeons and Dragons, you know.
Yeah.
So you toss in those little fun things, and when people are looking those things up, they're scrolling through and they see your picture, not of a duck, but of your product or your pretty face or your family, you know, they'll stop and they'll go, what? You know, and they'll click on it.
Yep.
And look, you just gained someone's attention because you showed up in a search that you don't really belong in with that particular photo. So here's what I've learned is you want to capture the hashtags that are going to surprise people when they're searching through, but you want to use hashtags that people are actually searching. Okay. If you create your own hashtag, you need to be very careful. Okay. Because people aren't necessarily going to search for that specific hashtag unless you have actually built yourself a brand.
Yes.
Talk to this guy for those,
you can
those
get
brands.
A hashtag registered with the trademark office. Whether or not you should is another question.
Yes, Joanne.
I'm
eating a taco right now. I did not choose the taco life. The taco life chose me.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, use those hashtags that people are actually searching for. Again, keep it within like Stella says about 40,000. So the banned hashtag thing. So there's been some question about this, some controversy, whether it's actually banned or if it has to do with the photo algorithm. So Facebook, I guess, has this algorithm that automatically looks at a photo, maybe of a tree, and it'll pick out, okay, tree, brown, bark, fall if it's, you know, got leaves with red and yellow. They'll pick out those obvious things. So if you're posting things like boss mom or entrepreneur or marketing, it's not going to pick those up and it's going to want to shadow ban that. I think it's the right term, shadow ban. So that's one theory on the algorithms. Others are an actual ban theory of you're using tags like Beachbody, Mary Kay, LuLaRoe, all those, you know, very popular brand names or very popular statements that now are being banned because it's an obvious like sell or obvious type.
So there's kind of like a couple reasons why it's worth thinking about the less popular hashtags that are still getting some traction.
Yes.
Because you don't want to just use ones. I mean, like Stella says that she has one for her business name. You know, there might be some reasons to start to have something like that, but to take a look at maybe what you're using now, run some searches and see how popular they are, and think about if you can replace that with one that's more, and like what you said, the 5 to 10.
Even adding an S to it seems to help. So like I was using Mom of Boys. I took off the S and it came up better for me, Mom of Boy. And then other things, I added an S to it to make it plural and it made it better. So even tiny little tweaks like that. When you say better,
you just mean it like seemed to get more engagement.
Right, right. Now I'm still struggling with capturing the marketing farmers, the people that are adding you and commenting on you just to get more of their own clients, or having you pay them to get more likes. Don't pay attention to the likes. Don't pay attention to the follows. Pay attention to the comments. Pay attention to the engagement. You want the engagement. That's what it's going to help you stay on top.
Cool. No, I love that. And as someone who is still kind of figuring out what I'm...
It's all about relationships, people.
Love it. Yeah, and I think that's what I've really learned the last couple of months is that you don't, with the exception of certain industries, you don't really sell your service or product on Instagram. Mm-hmm. You just kind of start the relationship.
Absolutely.
That might be able to funnel them into some type of buying relationship or something like that. Mm-hmm. But this has been great, Misty. I
loved it.
I told you that we'd wrap up around the 10:50 mark, and we're there now. So I'll just kind of defer to any people who might have comments here while we wait to see if anybody has any last questions or things
Please
to say
comment.
to Misty. Misty, I just wanted to thank you for your time this morning.
I loved it. I was super nervous. I had a B3 core meeting this morning, accountability check-in, and I through the whole thing was having trouble breathing and shaking, thinking about this. And, I always do that at the beginning of every interview, and it always turns out absolutely wonderful because I am rocking it with awesome people. So.
Well, you were
Thank
rocking
you.
it. So you did a great job. I was so happy to have you, and we'll definitely do this again soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks again, Misty. Thanks to everybody who tuned in, and I'll see you guys next week.
Yes. Bye.